The cameras captured every detail, every flash of tension as the studio lights glared down on the stage. Kellyanne Conway stood rigid, jaw tight, her voice already sharp with impatience, as if daring anyone to challenge her authority. Across the room, Jasmine Crockett exuded calm, a serene presence that seemed to pull the very air toward her. The contrast was immediate, electrifying. The seasoned strategist versus the unshakable moral force. The audience, both in the studio and online, could feel a charge. Something monumental was about to happen. Then Conway snapped. Her words cut like a knife, dripping with frustration and veiled contempt. "Do you really think you understand the stakes here, Miss Crockett?" she demanded, each syllable sharpened with intent to intimidate. The room froze, the tension palpable, as every eye turned toward the young congresswoman. Social media erupted even before her response. Commentators leaned forward, waiting for the drama to unfold, viewers holding their breath across the country. But Jasmine did not flinch. Her voice was calm, deliberate, and every word struck with precision. She reframed the attack, turning Conway's aggression into a mirror reflecting arrogance back on its source. Every pause, every subtle inflection, conveyed mastery without malice, strength without hostility. The room felt the shift immediately. What started as intimidation now revealed the hero's power, composure in the face of chaos, dignity in the presence of bluster. The contrast could not have been clearer. One figure leaned into spectacle, raising her voice, gesturing wildly, trying to dominate the narrative. The other relied on clarity, principle, and moral authority, letting actions and words carry the weight that arrogance could not. Across social media platforms, clips began to circulate, each view, share, and comment reinforcing the moment as historic, validating courage, resilience, and identity. For those often marginalized, Jasmine's poise was a triumph in real time, a visual affirmation of what it meant to stand firm in one's truth. Yet the tension had only begun to escalate. A subtle shift in Conway's expression betrayed cracks beneath the surface. The audience sensed it, even if only subconsciously, that this confrontation was about to become far more consequential. What would happen next? How would the hero leverage this opening? The answer hovered in the air, unresolved, electrifying, leaving viewers with a sense of anticipation that would not soon fade. The room was no longer just a studio. It had become a stage for a clash that felt larger than life. Every glance, every measured pause, carried the weight of history, identity, and values. What was happening before the cameras was more than a debate. It was a confrontation that symbolized a tension between arrogance and integrity, between spectacle and principle. The audience could feel it, their attention riveted, their anticipation building. This was a moment that demanded to be witnessed, shared, and remembered. To understand the stakes, one had to look beyond the glare of lights and the microphone's hum. Kellyanne Conway's sharp remark wasn't isolated. It represented a broader pattern of dismissing voices like Jasmine's, voices that stood for immigrant communities, marginalized groups, and people often silenced or overlooked. Each jab, each condescending tone, was a reminder of systemic arrogance, an attempt to dominate through intimidation rather than reason. And yet, Jasmine's presence on that stage was a statement in itself. She would not shrink, would not be cowed, would not allow arrogance to define the narrative. Jasmine's calm was not passive. It was deliberate, honed through years of navigating scrutiny, bias, and public skepticism. Every measured word, every subtle pause, carried the weight of strategy, intellect, and resilience. This was a hero prepared not just for a verbal sparring match, but for a test of courage, principle, and leadership. For viewers who had faced dismissal or marginalization, her composure resonated deeply. They saw validation in her unshakable presence, a reflection of their own struggles and the triumphs that come from standing firm. The tension escalated with every exchanged sentence. Conway leaned forward, her gesture sharp, her voice rising in an attempt to reclaim dominance, but Jasmine remained grounded. The cameras captured the subtle but telling shifts. Conway's confidence showing signs of strain, the audience leaning forward, viewers online holding their breath as a confrontation unfolded in real time. Social media erupted within minutes. Clips, hashtags, and reactions painting a picture of a moment that could not be ignored. The energy was contagious, the stakes suddenly larger than anyone had anticipated. And just when it seemed that Conway might regain control, a flicker of hesitation betrayed the cracks in her armor. The audience sensed it, even before words confirmed it. This was no ordinary exchange. What Jasmine would do next could redefine the narrative, shift public perception, and leave a lasting mark on the conversation. The nation, watching live or online, understood instinctively that the next moments were crucial and that history might be quietly, irrevocably in the making. Kellyanne Conway's career had long been defined by mastery of media, political strategy, and a relentless drive to control the narrative. To many, she was a seasoned strategist, sharp, commanding, and unflinching. But beneath the polished exterior lay a pattern of arrogance, calculated aggression, and a penchant for turning intimidation into performance. Every public appearance, every debate tactic, every point of remark had been carefully honed to assert dominance, to shape perception, and to unsettle anyone who dared oppose her. Her rise to prominence had been meteoric, built on years of navigating high-stakes political arenas. Books, television appearances, and advisory roles painted a picture of authority and influence. Yet, alongside that success came a history of calculated maneuvers designed to undermine critics and marginalize dissenting voices. Those who faced her directly often experienced a unique pressure, a combination of intellect, charisma, and sharp-edged confidence that left challengers questioning themselves before they could even respond. But arrogance, for all its power, carried vulnerability. Conway's need to dominate every exchange often left her exposed to those who refused to be intimidated. Her strategies, effective in controlled environments, struggled against opponents armed with calm resilience, principle, and moral clarity. Every interruption, every raised voice, every sharp jab was part of a rehearsed pattern. Yet moments of genuine challenge revealed cracks beneath the surface. A flicker of doubt, a hesitation in tone, a subtle misstep. These were the openings for a prepared adversary to shift the balance. Tonight, those openings were glaringly apparent. Jasmine Crockett represented something different: poise, intellect, and courage grounded in lived experience. Conway's usual tactics, bluster, interruption, and condescension, no longer carried the same weight. Social media audiences, commentators, and live viewers could sense a vulnerability that public performance had never revealed. The villain's armor, once seemingly impenetrable, showed its first signs of strain. And as the exchange continued, the stage transformed from a platform of control into a crucible, testing Conway's ability to maintain authority against a hero unshaken by intimidation. The audience, sensing the shift, leaned in closer. What had begun as a display of dominance now teetered on the edge of collapse, leaving the nation watching in suspense, waiting for the moment when the hero would seize the opportunity that arrogance had unwittingly created. Jasmine Crockett's journey to the stage was forged through perseverance, sacrifice, and an unshakable commitment to justice. Long before the cameras focused on her, she had navigated a world that often questioned her worth, underestimated her potential, and dismissed her voice. Born into a community where opportunity was hard-won, she learned early that resilience was not optional. It was necessary. Every setback, every challenge, became a building block for the courage and clarity she now displayed on national television. Her path was shaped by experiences that few could replicate. Nights spent studying while working multiple jobs, navigating systemic barriers, and advocating for those whose voices were ignored. She carried the weight of her community with pride, a responsibility that sharpened her focus and strengthened her resolve. For many who watched her rise, she embodied what it meant to confront adversity without surrendering integrity, to achieve success without compromising principle. Her identity, rooted in heritage, culture, and a profound understanding of social justice, was not an accessory. It was a source of power that informed every decision she made. Crockett's public service further refined her skill set. She understood the intricacies of policy, the nuances of lawmaking, and the value of measured argument. But more importantly, she had learned the art of listening, of anticipating challenges, and of responding with precision and empathy. These abilities were now on full display. She did not respond to aggression with aggression. She wielded reason, insight, and moral clarity as tools more powerful than volume or spectacle. Each word, each pause, each carefully framed statement demonstrated not just intelligence, but profound capacity for leadership under pressure. Her calm demeanor on the debate stage was not the absence of tension. It was mastery born of experience. While Conway's tactics relied on intimidation and theatrics, Crockett's presence radiated authenticity, authority, and an unwavering moral compass. The contrast was stark. One figure relied on spectacle, the other on substance. One sought to dominate, the other to enlighten and empower. Audiences, especially those from immigrant or marginalized backgrounds, recognized themselves in her steadiness. They saw validation in her confidence, inspiration in her resilience, and hope in the notion that dignity and principle could prevail in even the most charged environments. And yet, even with all this preparation, the next moments remained uncertain. Crockett's history had equipped her to face challenges, but Conway was a seasoned strategist, and the confrontation was far from over. The audience, both live and online, understood instinctively that history was on the brink of being written. Every word, every gesture, every pause carried significance. What was about to happen would not only test Crockett's skill and resolve, but also define her place in the ongoing narrative of courage, dignity, and the power of standing firm in one's truth. The debate had shifted from formal discussion to a high-stakes clash, each word carrying the weight of public scrutiny. Kellyanne Conway, sensing her usual tactics were faltering, escalated her tone, leaning forward with sharp gestures and clipped interruptions. Her voice, once commanding, now carried a subtle edge of frustration. Every jab, every pointed remark, was designed to unbalance Jasmine Crockett, to rattle the composure that had become her defining strength. Crockett, however, remained unshaken. Her responses were measured, precise, and unwavering. Each sentence was crafted to turn Conway's aggression into an opportunity, to clarify the truth, to illuminate the contrast between spectacle and substance. While Conway attempted to dominate through volume and theatrics, Crockett's calm authority drew the audience's attention and trust. The contrast was undeniable. Arrogance met composure, bluster met clarity, ego met principle. The room's tension was palpable. Cameras captured the smallest shifts in expression. Conway's raised eyebrows, the slight tightening of her jaw, the almost imperceptible pause before delivering her next barbed remark. Meanwhile, Crockett's steady presence amplified the impact of every word she spoke. Online viewers sensed the dynamic instantly. Clips of her composed retorts began circulating, trending within minutes. Social media became a mirror of the audience's recognition, reinforcing Crockett's stature as a hero who refused to be intimidated. As the exchange intensified, the stakes grew higher. Conway's interruptions grew sharper, her words more pointed, but each attempt to break Crockett's composure only highlighted the hero's mastery of restraint and strategy. The room seemed to lean forward in unison, the audience collectively aware that this was more than a debate. It was a demonstration of courage, resilience, and moral clarity in real time. And just as Conway appeared to gain a fleeting advantage, Crockett's next response hinted at an incoming turning point. The hero's calculated composure promised a counterattack that would not only silence bluster, but also redefine the narrative of the confrontation. The audience, both live and online, waited with bated breath, sensing that the moment that followed would be historic, leaving Conway's arrogance exposed and Crockett's moral authority fully realized. Jasmine Crockett paused, allowing the weight of Conway's escalating aggression to hang in the air. Then, with a clarity that cut through the tension like sunlight through storm clouds, she spoke. Every word was deliberate, measured, and loaded with moral authority. The room went still, the hum of cameras and murmurs fading as her voice carried not just logic, but conviction. She did not shout. She did not overreach. She dismantled the theatrics of arrogance with precision and calm, transforming the confrontation into a showcase of composure and intellect. Conway's initial shock was evident. Her attempt to interrupt faltered against Crockett's unwavering presence. Each rebuttal Crockett delivered revealed gaps in Conway's arguments, exposing the cracks in the armor of experience and bravado. The audience, live and online, could feel the shift. Social media erupted as clips of Crockett's takedown began circulating instantly, hashtags trending within moments. Viewers marveled at the hero's ability to turn pressure into power, spectacle into substance, intimidation into an opportunity to illuminate truth. The energy in the room shifted palpably. Where Conway had relied on theatrics, Crockett relied on preparation, insight, and an unshakable sense of principle. She cited facts with clarity, framed arguments with moral precision, and delivered each point in a way that left no room for misinterpretation. The contrast was undeniable: arrogance against integrity, aggression against dignity. Conway's confidence wavered as the hero's calm mastery continued to dominate the stage. Even the live audience reacted viscerally. Gasps, nods, and whispered affirmations filled the air. Every gesture Crockett made, every pause she employed, amplified the impact of her words. It was as if the entire nation had collectively leaned forward, captivated by a display of courage and authority that transcended politics. The villain's tactics, once so familiar and intimidating, had no purchase here. The hero's poise reframed the debate entirely. And just as the exchange reached its crescendo, the suspense hung thick. What had begun as a confrontation now teetered on the edge of historical significance. The room, the nation, and the digital audience alike waited, collectively aware that this moment, this precise blend of intellect, composure, and moral clarity, would leave an enduring mark. Conway's bluster was fading, and Crockett's voice, steady and unwavering, had not just countered the attack. It claimed the narrative. The moment Crockett delivered her decisive response, the world seemed to pause. Social media erupted instantly. Clips circulated like wildfire, hashtags trending within minutes. Commentators, pundits, and everyday viewers were united in awe, dissecting every word, gesture, and pause. The narrative had shifted. Conway's bluster, once commanding the conversation, was now overshadowed by Crockett's unwavering authority. The ripple effects extended far beyond the studio, reaching living rooms, offices, and online feeds across the nation. Viewers from immigrant and marginalized communities shared the clips with pride, seeing themselves reflected in Crockett's courage. Tweets praised her composure, her clarity, her refusal to bow to intimidation. Memes celebrating the hero's triumph appeared alongside thoughtful threads analyzing her moral precision and strategic mastery. The moment became not just a debate highlight, but a cultural touchstone, a demonstration that dignity, preparation, and principle could triumph over aggression and spectacle. Even political commentators and celebrities took notice. Analysts dissected her points, highlighting her ability to turn Conway's attacks into lessons in composure and integrity. Public figures acknowledged the resonance of her victory, framing it as a milestone for representation, courage, and accountability in public discourse. The aftermath was layered, complex, and undeniable. One woman's poise to create a conversation that transcended politics, inspiring millions and validating those who had long felt unheard. And yet, the story was not over. Conway's fading confidence in the nation's rapt attention hinted at what would come next. The final reckoning, the moral and inspirational resolution that would leave an enduring imprint on public consciousness. The stage was set for the ultimate reflection, a moment where dignity, courage, and identity would rise above the chaos, leaving viewers both empowered and emotionally charged as the dust settled. Jasmine Crockett stood not just as a victor in a debate, but as a symbol of unwavering dignity and moral clarity. Her composure had transformed what began as a tense confrontation into a lesson in courage and principle. Conway's attempt at intimidation had faltered, leaving the hero's poise as a defining narrative. The audience, both live and online, recognized that this was more than politics. It was a moment of inspiration, a testament to the power of steadfastness in the face of aggression. Crockett's triumph illuminated a universal truth. Integrity and preparation can outweigh bluster and spectacle. Her calm, deliberate responses demonstrated that strength is not measured in volume or theatrics, but in the ability to remain true to one's principles. For viewers from marginalized communities, immigrants, and anyone who had ever been silenced, this moment validated their own experiences and struggles. It showed that standing firm in one's identity and values could reshape perception and demand respect. The impact rippled beyond the debate stage. Social media continued to buzz with admiration. News outlets highlighted her poise, and everyday viewers shared their personal connections to her courage. The moment became a shared experience, a reminder that heroism often manifests not through confrontation alone, but through calm, deliberate, and principled action. Crockett's example reinforced that dignity, empathy, and truth are not passive traits. They are active forces that can change conversations, challenge arrogance, and inspire generations. As the nation absorbed the resonance of her victory, it became clear that this confrontation would not be forgotten. Crockett's legacy in this moment was a reminder that courage is measured by integrity, that leadership requires empathy, and that moral clarity can triumph even in the most chaotic and hostile arenas. The hero's calm had spoken louder than any shout, leaving a lasting lesson for all who witnessed it, a call to embrace dignity over discord and principle over fear. The confrontation had ended, but the lessons lingered. Jasmine Crockett had not just countered aggression. She had modeled courage, principle, and unshakable composure. Viewers across the nation, online and in the studio, felt the impact, recognizing that heroism is often quiet, measured, and morally grounded. This moment became more than a debate. It was a testament to the power of standing firm in one's truth, even when faced with intimidation. For the audience, the takeaway was clear. Dignity, preparation, and integrity are tools stronger than volume, bluster, or spectacle. Crockett's example resonated with those often marginalized, validating their experiences and inspiring them to assert their voices without fear. It demonstrated that true leadership arises from resilience, empathy, and a commitment to principle, and that one person's composure can reshape conversations and influence public discourse. Now it's your turn to act. Share this moment, engage in discussions, and amplify voices that stand for justice and integrity. Subscribe to follow stories that celebrate courage and truth. Let this confrontation be a reminder that standing up, speaking out, and remaining unwavering in principle can create ripple effects far beyond a single stage. Your engagement matters. Be part of a movement that values dignity, moral clarity, and the power of steadfast courage.